Hello and welcome to Barnstable Today. Recently, members of the Barnstable Town Council met in a strategic planning session that was led by President Fred Chirigotis. On our Barnstable This Morning program, we asked President Chirigotis about the meeting and where it was held. Was it held at Barnstable Town Hall?
We had a strategic planning session last week at the Hyannis Golf Course. They were nice enough to let us use their function room, and we sat down. Actually, I believe I'd be mistaken if I don't want to get the numbers wrong, but we had, I think, 9 or 10 counselors appeared, and we actually 9 counselors, and we talk about the issues that are important to each counselor and where we would like to go, and how and then we have to figure out a plan to address those. So, ordinarily that would happen sometime early in a leadership. When a new leadership takes place, you'd want to set your goals early in the year. So I would suggest that we do another one perhaps in January or early February, which is ordinarily when we start the strategic planning. But we've had so many things on our board that we knew where we were going, and the important thing was the administration. That was the number one thing on the agenda for the council over the last year, and I think that our administration is set, and we have a town administrator, Tom Lynch, and we have a new assistant, town manager Tom Lynch, and we have an assistant, Mark Ells. I think 2 excellent people in excellent position. I think the leadership is clearly established and solid. So now we can start working on other issues. Financially, the town of Barnstable is doing as well as any town can do in this economy. I mean, we maintain a AAA bond rating. We with the leadership of Mark Milne, especially a budget director and finance director, we have reduced interest on bonds that we have, saving the town a lot of money. We have a number of green initiatives that are going forward, which is saving the town money and generating electricity for the benefit of everybody in town. So those things are good. So at the strategic planning session, we look at, well, what are the things that are bad? What are the things that what should we be focusing on? Where should we go? Some of the issues, by the way, I understand we'll be looking at the chief of police new contract at our next meeting. And I think that's the chief of police, I can't say enough good things about him, and I'm sure I haven't heard anything negative about him, except maybe that he's everywhere. And I don't know if that's negative or positive. I think that's positive.
That's a positive thing. Yep, you're right. He's everywhere.
He certainly is everywhere. He's a hands-on guy. He's easily accessible. He's easy to talk to. I really admire him, and I enjoy working with him.
Let me interrupt you for a second. You are. It's a question, I guess. Are you going to offer him a brand new contract?
That's not a job of the council. That's a job of the town manager.
But it has to be approved by the council.
Correct. So so I believe that a new contract has been offered to him, and that must be ratified by the council.
Right. And that'll be on the agenda for the 4th, for the 2nd.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So one of the issues was crime, and so when typically when something bad happens that makes the headlines and that gets people's attention right away, I think the reality of it is that major crime is down. I mean, it is summertime, and there are all kinds of smaller things going on that people need to be aware of. But major crime is down. We have a very strong police force that is nationally recognized in their professionalism. So although some people say there are continuing areas that need to be addressed in a better fashion so that things, the cycles stop. And I can understand that. I understand people don't want to have any crime whatsoever. So that was one of the issues that came up. Thoughts were, how do we prevent young flight? How do we keep our young people from leaving, going to college, earning degrees, and then not coming back, or not being able to find sustainable work here, that meets with their professional status once they're educated. So we need to have more full-time professional jobs for people here. We understand all those things, and we're working in that direction.
Also having a planning session was the Cape Cod Regional Transit Authority. Tom Kerr is the administrator of the CCRTA, and he told our listeners on Barnstable this morning about all of the activities that occurred with that planning session.
Yeah, we had a session down here called a charrette, actually, because we have our facility here in Hyannis. The Hyannis Transportation Center resides on this 11-acre parcel of land, and we have entertained the thought of, working with the town of Barnstable to develop the land, consistent with how Barnstable wants the town to develop. And,
right.
And obviously with an emphasis on transportation and accessibility to transportation, those type of things, because we're in very close proximity to High Line and the steamship and the airport and those kind of amenities. So we're undertaking this study, and we hired a company that I was very much involved in the hiring of it, and we made it clear to them that we'd like to have some, a comprehensive review and analysis of this area. But I want the study to conclude with some implementable sort of suggestions, not just a study that goes on a shelf. So we've taken it pretty seriously, and we work closely with the town of Barnstable. And I have to say, I'm a sort of a Falmouth-born guy, but I was very, very impressed with the caliber and talent of the folks that work for the town of Barnstable.
Thank you.
There were several people here representing the community, and all of them incredibly talented and asking the right kind of questions and providing input that was valuable. So I talked about that this morning when I was running. I said how impressed I was with all of the people that were here. So that's just an aside. But
speaking of that, I'm going to interrupt you for a second, Tom. Who participated in your planning session yesterday, other than people from the town of Barnstable?
Well, we had a contingent from Barnstable, obviously, I think 6 or 7 folks from Barnstable, but we also had, the president of Cape Cod Community College, John Cox, who's a very, very talented gentleman as well, and, he's got a tough act to follow in Kathy Schatzberg's departure, but he certainly is, very bright and, has some very good and strong opinions about education and, how the RTA can continue to partner with the school. And, I've tried to do that with President Schatzberg for the 2 or 3 years I've been here and develop partnerships with those kind of things. And, Mr. Cox is very much involved and excited about what we might do here. We had, Dave Scudder from High Line, Wayne Lampson from the Steamship Authority, Senator Wolf's office was represented, Wendy Northcross from the Chamber. I mean, people that are very busy but took the time to come over here for a couple of hours. And I think everyone, as I said at the conclusion of the session, everyone was engaged in the process, providing good ideas. The folks, Melissa Hirsch and Elizabeth Worthpayne were here. A lot of folks that I think a lot of stakeholders that really understand this part of the town of Barnstable and really have a vision as to where the community should go.
You may be driving down Route 28 over by Iano Road, Willow Street, or people driving along Main Street may not even know that we have a huge parcel of land there that is that owned by the state, by the transportation people? Is that who owns it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's a good part, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, there's a good parcel of land back there. And I think what you were trying to do yesterday is to gather people and say, we've got this parcel and it's kind of hidden. It really is hidden. But it offers an opportunity to do an awful lot of different types of things, and that was the whole point of what you did yesterday.
Yes, that's correct, Len. And as I said, the proximity to the water and proximity to the airport, really speaks to the need to collaborate and coordinate between the transportation entities, but also its proximity to Main Street and the business community, so that it's just an extension of Main Street in Barnstable, Hyannis, and Hyannis Main Street is really nice, and if we can extend it and make it even nicer with potential housing opportunities and things like that, I think that the community will be the beneficiary.
For Barnstable Today, I'm Len Gobiel.